Hi friend, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing something really special with you guys. I know that I often talk about how I use my journal in a very personal way as well as in a very functional way. I it's important to me to marry both. Um, and so in my bullet journal, I often use space for memory keeping, collections, just drawing and doodles that I use to relax. But I also dedicate lots of space to actual journaling. And sometimes that means that I'll attach an envelope so that I can have some privacy for maybe some deep feelings that I'm having and that I need to get off my chest. In this case today, I'm sharing some grief journaling that I had been working on. I wanted to share that with you guys because I think when a loved one dies, it marks us. And so I think that for me, the way that I have been processing the loss of my loved ones within this past year, it has been very different from the way that I have processed it in the past when I was younger. And I came to the realization that grieving evolves just as us humans evolved. Maybe you've already realized that, and it took me a lot longer to understand that, but when I was 12 years old, my dad passed away. And so I always felt like I had an understanding of what it was like to lose someone that you love. And maybe ignorantly, I thought that if I could experience that and if I could survive that feeling, then surely I would be okay with, you know, the loss that I would experience in the future. Those are probably the thoughts of someone, again, young and naive and, lacking in wisdom. This past summer, I lost my aunt, who was also my godmother. And I think she was probably the first person that passed away in my adult life where I really reconsidered what I had previously thought um, about death and loss. And I learned that, I was wrong. Experiencing death can inform you, but it cannot spare you from your feelings. She was the first person that I grief journaled for. I created an envelope to house the letter that I wrote um, for her funeral, and I did a sort of vague illustration of one of my favorite pictures of she and I. I go back to this picture often. I feel like in this picture of me as a baby, you can really see how much I loved her and how much she loved me. I'm going to miss her so much. Um, just her loud laughter and the way that she smacks people on the shoulders when she's laughing. I'm going to miss her food. I'm gonna miss her positive energy and just knowing that she's here. But I'm grateful for the memories and I'm happy to have her memorialized in my pages. The pages that you saw me draw previously and the one that you see me painting here now are in memory of my grandmother who died in January. And if you know me, then you know that as a child I lived in Puerto Rico and we lived in this blue house that I'm now painting that belonged to my grandmother. Um, it was something that she was very proud of, and she spent her days routinely taking care of her property, her gardens, and anything that had to do with her home. Um, the first picture that I drew was of a memory that I had of us sitting under the palm tree, and she was teaching me how to take these tiny little flowers and wear them as earrings, as apparently she had done when she was my age. She removed both of our earrings and put the tiny little stems of the flowers in our ears, and we sat under that palm tree with earrings made out of flowers. In this illustration, I will first say that, of course, this person does not look like a grandmother. I paint intuitively, I draw intuitively. The page reveals itself to me. I sometimes think that my hand is controlled by something else sometimes. I zone out and as I said, I just let the page reveal itself. Um, when it was done, I looked at it and I thought, well, it kind of looks like a cross between the three generations of us, my grandmother, my mother, and myself. And I kind of love how fitting that is because we truly are the people that were here before us. We all have a part of everyone that has left us. And so I kind of love that it doesn't look like a grandmother. It looks like we're all interconnected into this one being. Um, what is very much my grandmother is the headscarf, which we call a pañuelo. And she always wore this headscarf to be outside in her garden to protect her hair. Um, and she also often wore kind of like a work shirt, just anything to protect her from the sun. She would spend at least 3 hours in the sun, cutting her own grass, replanting flowers, and just grooming, her property. There's a little tree that's somewhat next to my grandmother. It's called a flamboyant, and sadly, I wasn't able to illustrate it as well as I wish I could, but the memory page is really more so for me. It's about remembering someone and honoring them, and it's only important for me to understand what's there. I learned lots of things from my grandmother and my years living in her house in Puerto Rico. I learned that nothing in life is guaranteed, so you should take care of the things that you have right now. I learned that walking up a steep hill can be made easier by zigzagging along the way. I learned that May is for dancing in the rain. And I learned that writing a letter to someone is one of the simplest yet most meaningful ways to let someone know that you care about them. My grandmother wrote letters every week to her family in the States and on the other side of the island. And I started writing my own letters around 11 years old. And as you know, I write letters to this day. It's one of the things that brings me lots of peace and happiness. I'm certain that both my aunt and my grandmother are resting peacefully and are happy right now. And so, with that, I will say to you that I hope that this video inspires you to create memory pages of your own. You don't even have to draw if you don't feel inclined. Um, you can find images from a magazine, write a favorite poem that makes you think of them. You can write a favorite memory about them. You can write a letter to them as if you were talking to them. You can add pictures. Truly, there's no mistake in how you can process grief through journaling. I think that it is something that is valuable, and it's also something that is beautiful to look back on whenever you want to be reminded of that person. So I hope that you liked this video, and if you did, I hope that you'll consider subscribing. If you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.